The white beads were worn on Claire's wrist, making her wrist like snow, white and tender like a new lotus root. Charlie's smooth and warm jade hand was held in his hand, like a piece of warm jade, and he didn't want to let it go. Claire also noticed it, blushing, and immediately retracted her hand and glared at him. Charlie smiled and said, "Do you want to change the house too?" "Of course, who doesn't want to live in a new house? Since my mother moved out of the villa, she complained all the time that it was too small and broken." Claire sighed, then recovered and said, "It's just that the house price is too expensive now, and the family doesn't have that much money, so let's forget it." With that said, Claire suddenly remembered something and blurted out, "By the way, we can go to see the real estate first, and calculate how much the difference between this house and the new one would be. If the price difference is not so high, then replace this with a better one." Before Charlie had time to speak, Claire said excitedly, "That's it. It's the weekend tomorrow, let's go out and check out the real estate." Seeing that she was very interested in this matter, Charlie nodded and said, "Since you want to see it, I will accompany you." Claire researched the real estate information on her mobile phone and decided to take a look for houses in new district with a better environment. It just so happened that someone came and knocked on the door after eating. A courier handed a small package to Charlie and said, "This is for you. Please sign it." After Charlie signed the receipt, he opened it and found that there was a sweet door key and several golden cards with the words, "Thompson Villa A05, on it. At this time, Charlie received a phone call from Solomon, the patriarch of the White family. He respectfully said on the phone, "Mr. Wade, have you received the key and room card? Thompson Villa is developed by Thompson Company in Orus Hill. The most high-end real estate project. The number A05 I gave you is the largest villa, excluding the courtyard, with an area of more than 1,000 square meters, please accept it." Charlie has heard of Thompson. They have developed villas and high-rise communities in Orus Hill, which can be said to be the highest-end real estate project in the city. The market price of such a villa is at least 100 million. It seems that Solomon is indeed bleeding heavily. So Charlie said lightly, "You have a heart." Solomon said ecstatically, "Where is it?" "It is an honor for the White family to serve Mr. Wade." Back to the room, Charlie deliberately asked Claire, "Wife, do you like the house of Thompson Builders? Thompson first grade?" Claire exclaimed, "How can we afford the houses there? The prices of ordinary high-rise residential buildings there are twice as expensive as outside. But the houses are indeed the best in Orus Hill." Charlie smiled slightly and said, "You can go and see it tomorrow, let's talk about whether you can buy it or not later." Claire hurriedly waved her hand and said, "Forget it, let's be more pragmatic and take a look at ordinary houses." Charlie smiled and said, "You tell me, I have a friend at Thompson first grade. He said he can help get the internal price. We can go and see first." Early the next morning, Charlie took the villa key and the companion access card given by Solomon, and drove with his wife to the Thompson Sales Center. Soon, the car stopped in front of the Thompson Sales Center. At this time, the sales center is almost crowded. It seems that the citizens of Orus Hill are still very interested in the real estate of Thompson. Even if they can't afford it, they must come to open their eyes. Seeing this posture, Claire said to Charlie, "Charlie, they are so expensive, we can't afford it, so don't join in the fun." Charlie smiled and said, "My wife, you have come here, what are you going to do? Besides, I really want to see the world, come with me and have a look." Claire said helplessly, "Well, it's just time to see what the top Thompson looks like." After entering, the people gathered around the huge sand table, listening to the shopping guide explaining the general situation of the Thompson community. The area of real estate developed by Thompson in Orus Hill is very large. On the periphery of the real estate, there are high-rise residential buildings, which are relatively ordinary housing. The area ranges from 120 square meters to 240 square meters. The price is very high, starting at 80,000. As for the deepest, most comfortable and perfect prime location of the real estate, it is the villa area with single-family houses. The size of the villa area ranges from 300 square meters to more than 1,000 square meters. Because it has a yard and a basement, the price is very expensive, at 130,000 square meters. In other words, the villa Solman gave to Charlie was worth 130 million. The shopping guide also introduced, "We provide separate property and security services for distinguished villa owners. Don't look at ordinary houses and villas in the same community, but there is a fence around the villa area. Isolated from ordinary houses. The ordinary residential area outside is already very safe. People are not allowed to enter, and the villa area inside is safer. To put it simply, if a thief enters the ordinary residential area outside, it is absolutely impossible. Then enter the villa area through the security of the villa area, so the owner of the villa area is extremely safe, you can rest assured." At this time, a woman said angrily, "You are too much, right?" This is to let the owners of the ordinary residential area outside help the owners of the villa area to block bullets. Many people around nodded one after another, listening to the shopping guide. It really meant that. Charlie felt that the voice was a bit familiar, and when he looked up, he realized that it was a woman with heavy makeup.